holiday festival episode.
Tis the season.
Tis the season for some joy and also counseling podcasts.
Well, and I feel like part of me is like, oh, like it almost feels too early.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, this is starting to come up in sessions with clients, at least just from the scheduling vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking to someone this week and I was like, hey, like schedule is just going to look weird through the end of the year. Like,
right.
do what you can.
Thanksgiving, all the things.
So we figured what a better time than now to chat about mental health in this season of the year.
Holiday season. Yeah, because what is it? Thanksgiving's like 3 weeks away?
Whoa.
3 to 4 something. 3. I think it's 3 weeks away.
Wow.
But it's nuts. I feel like this year, 2025, has flown by. Because
It
looking
has.
back, I was like, my gosh, we just had like our New
I
Year's
agree.
non-resolution episode.
Well, and I was even saying, like, I think this episode is our 25th,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, wow, that does fly.
Look at us go,
I'm
25.
Selfishly very grateful that this year has flown by. This has
Mhm.
honestly been probably the worst years I've ever had as a human being. But as a business, it's been fantastic.
Mhm.
So glad that we're here already.
Yeah. And about to go into 2026. But
Thank goodness.
as of today,
Yeah.
we're kind of going to go through, so like holiday season, all the feelings, what it looks like for us, how we manage, what it looks like for clients, and then what it can look like for you
Yes.
too, maybe.
But if you're seeing this episode pop up and you're like, no, not yet, I'm not ready, please like protect your peace.
Yeah.
This is okay to have a boundary of saying, maybe not this episode right now. I'll come back to it later.
Mhm.
Or if you're like, oh, this is a great like proactive self-care measure, hang out with us.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking about holidays, what is like one word to describe your nervous system in that time of year?
So I actually was thinking about this last night and I was like, do I want to put overstimulated? No, because I don't think that's valid for what it is like feeling like. So I put excited, but with that, the caveat of I've got two sides of the excitement.
Yeah.
I have the, okay, I'm really excited that it's the season. I get to see all my people. Like, this is fun. It's festive. The lights, love all of that. So the like, more positive feeling side of excitement. And then the other side of excitement, which is just like constantly buzzing of like, okay, expectations, all the things, all the conversations, showing up and trying to be intentional, but also and we'll go into this later, but last year we were navigating what holidays look like with two families. And so the excitement of, okay, well, we got to go here, then here, then here, then here. So for me, excitement on multiple dualities of the spectrum. What about you?
I actually had the same thought. I was like, my initial reaction was like overstimulated, but then I thought the same thing. It's like, oh, like I don't want listeners to think that I dread the holidays, but also there's a significant amount of like stress and anxiety that does come with it as a person. So I thought of the word like fizzy.
Fizzy.
That's kind of like what that's the only thing that feels close.
Yeah, a little bubbly.
Like, yes, because it can be like if you feel like the gurgles in your stomach.
Yeah,
it's like, ooh, this is nice. I just had like a fun cocktail or like a fun like drink, whatever. Or the other side of like, oh no,
the bubble guts.
Yeah. So yes, I think it's like also stretched is another one, because again, there's so much good that comes from this season, but there's also just its own fair share of other things too. So again, it's all in like the extremes, I feel.
Yeah. And like on my drive here, this is actually really random, but it'll tie in, I promise. I was driving and I saw this like really old, very cool car. And there was like this older gentleman driving it. And he looked around like my grandpa, what my age my grandpa would have been. And I was sitting and I was thinking, oh, like, that just like hit a spot in my heart. And it took me back to like, we used to go up to Michigan every single Christmas to spend time with them up there. And then Thanksgiving was always the entire family in Georgia come together. And it made me realize like, that's really sad. That's sad that like those parts of being like a child, like I was even talking to someone last night of like, man, I really miss believing that Santa was real.
Yes.
And just like what that was like of my parents would do the little snow prints inside the house to make it look like it's precious. And then like Santa would always have his different colored wrapping paper and all of that stuff. And so for me, it felt just like I was reflecting upon like, the nostalgia of the holiday season, of being a kid and what it used to look like versus what it looks like now.
It's so different now,
which is still beautiful.
It is, but again, it's different, and there's so much like grief that comes with that too, of like grieving what the holidays used to represent versus now. And it's also just super confusing for our mind and our body too, because obviously your body remembers that, and it's stored in your muscles and in your cells. And it's like, well, I know I'm excited, but I'm also really sad too. It's just so contradictory. It can just let us to feel fizzy.
Fizzy. Our nervous systems are excited and fizzy on both ways. But of just that and it's so hard to understand that our body can feel those ends of the spectrums at the same time. Like, even though I talk about it every single day, when it happens to me, I'm like, I don't know which one we want to pick to feel right now.
Right. Well, even from like a parts perspective, like your inner child really wants that magic, and it's still like looking forward to that magic. Like, I know growing up, my dad, I just remember like when I was growing up, my dad was like very invested in his career. He's a little bit more like divided with career and family now that he's older. But as a kid, I remember my dad was like very dead set in his career, worked super hard. And I remember one of like the moments of like lightness that I would see was him watching the Polar Express every year. Loved that movie, and it was really, really sweet. And I just remember every year I always like crave watching that movie. And like, that's not even my favorite movie, but I remember feeling like the levity of like the magic in it. Yeah. So our inner children want that magic, but also like our external adult also thinking like, how do I budget? What's this gonna look like? How am I gonna spend all these hours in the car going from one place to another and whatever?
Logistics become a thing when you become an adult. When you're a kid, it's just like, I'm just gonna show up and have fun. Whereas an adult, it's like, okay, now I have to actually understand what my parents had to think about in order for me to have fun.
Yeah. And I was like thinking about it early this morning, and I was like talking to a friend just about like scheduling and stuff like that. And she was like, wow, like I really love how you guys like schedule your calendar. And she's like, you seem to really love it. And I looked at her and I was like, I don't. I actually don't love it at all. I'm good at it, but I just have to. And my better half is and does good at staying on top of logistics and organization. So it's like, all right, figure it out. Here's your family calendar.
So when we look at the statties, APA says that during the holidays, there's a 38% stress spike.
So low.
So low. Like, come on, guys. It's got to be at least like 60.
I feel like in Aquamarine, they use this phrasing. It's like, they said, bull shark. That's bull shark.
Speaking of Aquamarine, I'd love to have those little
the starfish
that just speak to me all day.
Also in the same vein, Hilary Duff released a new song.
No, she didn't.
She did. And there's like rumors that she's gonna release an album and go on tour.
My heart, talk about excited.
I know.
And in that same news, did you see that the Jonas Brothers are making a Christmas movie?
Are they really?
They are.
Incredible.
I think it's like a very Jonas Christmas or something.
Amazing.
So all the exciting things for us millennials.
Oh, I know. I saw someone was like, if Hilary Duff goes on tour, you have to have a 401k to get into her concert. I swear. I was like,
so true. So true. Can you even enjoy it if you didn't know her at her Lizzie McGuire?
I know.
But okay, so yes, what is it? 38. Yeah, 38 feels low to me.
Yeah.
Whereas there's another one of 64% symptom increase in those with mental health conditions during the holidays.
And that's only like self-reported. And that's also the people that are aware.
Right.
Because I also see like the numbness. And again, like, I'm really curious in an alternate reality, if the holidays were in the middle of the year, what they would look like. Because by now, everybody's tired.
Yes, they are.
And I even think about like clients who are in sales or like have like the productivity work, or even us, like our job is commission based.
Right.
And like, I don't think we have like a year end goal, which thanks to us for not doing that. Because I imagine if we did, I'd probably put a lot of pressure on myself to hit it.
For sure.
But I'm just like, whatever, just don't get sick this year.
Right.
I'd be interested to see like if the holidays were in the middle of the year, what that would look like in terms of the data about stress. Because obviously like we're already going into this season. It's cold. We got cold and flu season.
Yep.
Q4. And all of a sudden be holly and jolly.
And also it's darker earlier.
I don't see the sun ever.
And that 100%, like, we are plants, people. We need the sunlight. And so if you go in at, let's see, what time does it times it start getting light in the morning?
So when I get out of my workouts, it's light out. So that means around 6:55, it gets light out.
6:55. So if you go into work at 6, so I'm thinking of like all my teacher people, of they're going into the building, it's dark outside.
Yeah.
And then if you were to finish up at like, it's getting dark at 6:30, 7, of like, if you don't end until then, you don't see sunlight at all. If you don't have the ability to walk outside.
Like our healthcare providers on their 12-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Like, I even noticed it with myself. The last 2 weeks or so, I've been really lethargic. And I notice it like whenever I leave our office to go home, I'm just feeling like heavy. Yeah. Because it's dark.
Right.
Even one of my clients was like, what are all these bright lights now? And I said, hey, like, it's for safety now that it's dark out earlier. And he's like, wow, it's early. I'm like, I know, I miss it too.
Yes, it is.
So when we're thinking about our nervous system, for you, like, what are some of the early signs that your body will tell you that we're starting to feel it with the holiday season?
Yeah, so I got my classic of where my like eyes start to burn, all those that y'all have heard me talk about earlier in other podcasts. But specifically around the holiday season, there's two that I typically, well, actually there's one that I typically don't do. The other one I am doing frequently. But there's two that I see really become prevalent. The first one is forgetting things.
Okay.
And this is not just like forgetting, you know, like actual comments. This is like forgetting objects or forgetting plans, and that's not like me, 'cause you know me, I'm a hyper planner calendar girly. I got like 5 calendars going at one time. Yikes. But I start to forget all the things because everything starts piling on, and I'm trying to be intentional in that moment, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot about this, or I forgot to put the food down at the certain time for my dog that I was supposed to, and all of those things. Yeah, oops. So forgetfulness, because I just feel the overwhelmedness, the excitement. And then the other one is like I start to speed up even more than I typically speed up. So I'm trying to do all the things all the time very quickly because I don't feel like I have enough time like in the day. Yeah. And then I stay up later because I'm doing sleep revenge of I feel like I've just worked all day. I want to have some time to myself. Yeah. And then I am tired waking up. Right. So
then you're in the red.
Yeah. Then we're in the red. So that's mine.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking about this question earlier, and I went to a workout early this morning, and I kind of dread these workouts because the specific one that I go to is like a stretching and stability based one, so it's much slower pace and lower impact. I had a really high intensity, like heavy weightlifting week, and I knew I just needed to like chill with it today. And I remember being in the car, and I was thinking like, what are like my precursor signs in my body? Have you ever heard of the pigeon pose in yoga?
Oh God, I hate that one.
Yep, that's mine. So for our listeners, I know we talked about trauma is stored in the body, stress is stored in the body, and for a lot of women, your stress and trauma is very often stored in your hips and your hip flexors and in your pelvis. So this morning I was getting into pigeon pose, which is a yoga pose. First of all, I can't stand yoga. But again, I was trying to embrace discomfort because my body really needed it. My watch keeps telling me I'm overtraining. And I was like getting into pigeon, and we hold it for 90 seconds on each side. So we hold it for a long time. And I remember like 10 seconds in, all of a sudden mentally, my to-do list was like scrolling through my head, and I found myself getting really overwhelmed, which that is not like me. My workouts and like where I go to work out is my ultimate happy place. People always ask me how I get up so early. It's because I love it. And it's one of my favorite places ever. But then all of a sudden I was thinking like, why is this here? You don't belong here. So I felt that in pigeon and a frog pose too.
What's frog pose? Is that just like...
It's like when your legs are like out and behind you. It almost reminds me of like what my puppy did when he would
the
lay
sploot.
down. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of like the stress and the overwhelm of the holidays started to like come to the front of my mind. So I'd say my early signs are a lot of like muscle tension and release. Also executive dysfunction, so similar to you. I'll just like have really random brain fog and brain farts.
Yeah.
And it literally makes no sense.
Yeah.
And I just get frustrated.
Yeah. So like when you notice those signs, those things coming up in you, what do you typically do?
So, and this is when like I really work hard to practice what I preach.
Yeah.
And I actually talk to clients about it a lot. And we work in therapy to think about like coping skills and awareness and insight. But a lot of like, especially new clients come in and they say, I know how to cope with this feeling, but I don't know how to experience the emotion. And we say like feel our feelings, but people don't really know what that is and what it's like. So like, for example, this morning when these things happen, I force myself to sit in the feeling.
Yeah.
So in the case of like that pigeon pose this morning, all of these thoughts started coming through and I'm typically a little bit more avoidant of those, but I had to stop myself and say like, no, my body's talking to me. Let me hear it. Let me listen to it. And I basically pretended to have a conversation with myself in my own mind and allow the overwhelm to chat with me. And I like was like, okay, what does this feeling need? What is it trying to tell me? And what do I want to do about it?
Yeah.
And that is really helpful. Obviously I had a 90-second hold, so I had plenty of time and it distracted me from the pain. So I had to really sit in it, which is really difficult, but
super uncomfortable.
But I noticed that if I don't, I get really sick or I get burnt out and resentful of other things that don't deserve it very quickly.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to comment on like, I love that you mentioned that it's hard because
it's so hard.
I know a lot of people come in and they're like, oh, I should be doing this. This should be easy. If it's supposed to be quote unquote helpful and healing, then it's going to feel good. It does not always feel good, you guys. And I wish it did. That would be lovely. But it doesn't. And even us as like clinicians, we talk about it. And
it's so hard,
you know, work with clients on it. It's hard for us to do it. Yeah. So if ever you're feeling like that guilt or, you know, that shoulding yourself of remembering that like, no, this is difficult stuff. But for me, so I, you know, when they talk about trauma, stress, fear response, all the things, we say what you typically want to naturally do. So if it's speed up, you need to do the opposite. Yeah. So I force myself to slow down. So that'll be like, I put on a movie. I love movies. I'm actually able to like
not multitask
sink into a movie. Yeah. Especially a new one. Yeah. You know, old ones, I usually put those on when I just kind of want to vibe. But so I'll put on a new movie. So I'll have to sit down, actually focus, slow down. I can't be doing homework and a movie. Yeah. Or I play Animal Crossing.
I love that.
I've really gotten into Animal Crossing again. And that's just like a little cozy game and I get to just like vibe around my island and do stuff. My island's popping off right now, let me just say. But so I will just like intentionally force myself to do tasks. Yeah. You know, to do tasks that are somewhat distracting because I need the distraction because I feel like I'm constantly in my brain. To just relax in the moment.
I like that feel it because it's two very different reactions to your body talking to you. And so if someone is hearing this and they're like, hold on, what does this even look like? It could look like things like your chest could be tight. You could be having a little bit more of intrusive thoughts of whatever's going on. Your sleep could be disturbed. Obviously things like fatigue, your immune system, you could notice that it's just kind of a little bit more weakened. And if you're someone that typically pushes things away, maybe it is like sitting in a feeling, or if you're someone that, like you said, like runs really fast, doing the opposite action, or runs really slow, maybe picking up the pace a little bit and giving yourself that like startup motivation, so that we can really listen to what our body is telling us in those moments. Just so hard.
Listen to the vessel,
especially when it's cold.
Yes,
I know that feels kind of silly to say, but like when it's cold, I just don't want to do things. I
also don't want to like attune to my body because I don't want to mentally process that I'm cold.
It hurts.
Yes,
cold hurts.
It does. Especially us thyroid girlies.
Oh, I know. I literally did a whole workout this morning in a large like jacket.
Oh shoot. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. Yeah, no, the cold is not my best friend. I do not love her. But you know, learning to work with her has been a new thing for this year too, of just, okay, we're embracing the season, we're embracing this feeling. And that's sometimes the hardest thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, like when we have these moments, I do think that even if, I mean, we're talking about the holidays, there's a lot that's not in our control, unfortunately. especially if we think about, and we'll go into it, of like family systems, what we can control is our body. And so doing things like a 5-minute like reset with our body, of literally like laying on the floor for 5 minutes, recognizing where you're feeling stress and tension. I have an acupressure mat that I really love. It was something that like my own therapist recommended to me, and it felt like interesting at first. I was like looking into the literature about it. But it has been a fantastic way for me to slow down. It also like hurts a little bit, which
Is that the one with the little spikies? Okay.
I think you would do well with it too. You're like supposed to like ease into it and only lay on it for like 10 seconds and build up to 2 minutes. But I just,
might as well.
I did.
Yeah.
It actually helps me sleep better.
Ooh.
Which is good. That's another one of those like 5-second or like 5-minute resets for the body, just to like sit.
Right.
Stay.
And with that too, like we've talked about it before, a body scan of starting at the very top and just feeling the changes that are happening and working with those, of recognizing like, okay, we're feeling tightness in the shoulders. We can either, do some pendulation, which is going from a tight spot to a calm or more relaxed spot, or we can just literally tighten for 10 and then release for 10, PMR, progressive muscle relaxation.
So good.
But just like working with the body and truly recognizing without judgment, even though that's sometimes very hard because we get into that, but of just seeing where we're at and like working with that.
And something else that I like to do with like nervous system regulation, and my like chronic illness folks will understand this reference immediately, but it's an energy budget. So for the chronic illness community, you already do it with spoons, and like the spoon theory of I only have so many in a day to spend, but it's very similar with your energy of saying, okay, like I only have this much gas in the tank. What am I going to give to this? What am I going to give to that? What am I going to save for myself?
Right.
Because again, you're not going to drive home with 0 miles to empty. I've done that a few times, I will say. That is my own red flag. But that's a me problem, not an everybody else problem. But it really is like budgeting your energy in an unapologetic way. And I think that's one of the hardest things, and we'll get into it in a little bit, knowing that you're not going to please everybody, but we need to prioritize our body during the holidays. It's so hard. And even just the nature of the holidays themselves, when we really think about it, it's an overstimulation chaotic mess. I mean, if you think about like the recipe of like different colored lights, they're flashing, there's smells, there's different foods, your circadian rhythm is off. That's just a recipe for a nervous system overstimulation fiasco. Right. So like even on the best of terms, regulate your body if you can. And if you don't know how, I mean, we can definitely kind of post some tips on our social medias in the next few months too. And I'll kind of make a mental note to prioritize those things. But it's really important to do so when things are kind of stacked up against our body once in a while. Yeah.
And remembering that like this does not mean perfection. We're not saying you've got to be regulated 24 hours of the day, because that we're just human and life just doesn't work like that.
I was tearing up over pigeon pose at 6 o'clock this morning. Like, it's okay.
It's a day for a day. But instead, like it's looking for safety, that feeling of comfort, and that you're showing up for it. And like Sarah mentioned, like the holidays for so many, sometimes they can feel super exciting and positive and happy, and we have all of our family here, we have all these things and we love it, whereas there's another side that is not like that, of we're recognizing, these people aren't present, or I'm feeling a lot of stress around this because it's maybe not the best holiday circumstance or situation. And being able to tune into that and give yourself space with that and like show up for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, and I think that brings up really good points about just the emotional, mental load of the holiday season. And I feel like things like mental load they're becoming kind of hot buttons on social media. But if you think about it, your mental load is pretty much like how many tabs you have open in your brain. That's kind of how I like to describe to it for clients. And it's definitely much higher in the holiday season. Yeah. No matter what, you could be a head of a household, you got more tabs open, you could be on your own, you got more tabs open. And so when we think about mental load, what emotion usually sneaks up on you around this time of year?
Sadness. It's definitely feeling sad. I'm feeling like today, feeling the loss of those who are not with us anymore, and recognizing, there was a time when they were here, because our brain enjoys the comfort of things being typical. And so I know my brain goes a lot to, this is how it's been for a very long time. And I'm able to get into that comfort, but the holidays kind of knock me out of that, of like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This person, was here and I did love them and I spent so much time with them. So there's that of recognizing, I have loved ones that are not currently here, can't celebrate. And then there's also the feeling of sadness about those people who are here and like seeing a lot of my family getting older and recognizing, okay, like that's a part of that process. I mean, like, okay, I want to be here. I want to be 100% intentional, make sure I'm being the best granddaughter, best daughter, all the things.
Yep.
And then that's sad. Makes me sad thinking about the future.
And there's so much pressure of like, I need to remember every single second of this just in case.
Yeah.
I remember those moments very, very vividly. And there was so much pressure I put on myself in those. It's so hard.
What about you?
Yeah, similar. Grief really sneaks up. Obviously grief of people, but also just like grief of life stage for me. So I'm someone that is married with no kids, and it's a really interesting stage of life, I will say. And it's not something that I hear about often.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where like I have very, very few people in my life who are in the same stage. And when they are there, it's very temporary. And it's almost like you're just kind of stuck and it's a good life stage. Like it's been great that I'm here. But it's almost like one of those like, I'd say it's like fall semester senior year of high school or college where you're like, I understand this is the tail end of a chapter because I'm someone who wants a family. I understand this is kind of the tail end of me being on my own.
Right.
But I'm not graduating yet. And I don't want to graduate yet. And there's other things involved there that I'm not going to talk about on this podcast. At some point, maybe we can have an episode dedicated to it, but not right now because boundaries. But again, it's one of those where it's like when you're married with no kids, it is like that fall semester senior year of like, this is kind of the end, but I'm not there yet. And I don't really know what to do with my hands. Right. So there's that. And I think there's a lot of grief over life stage of like, no one really cares anymore. It sounds really bad. No one really cares because we don't have kids. But I'm also not like in the exciting stages anymore that we can talk about. It's just like, hey, things are good. It's like, yep. That's it. So there's a lot of grief of that. And I don't know. I think like overall the grief pops up, but sometimes joy is even surprising because it's like you're all of a sudden in logistics mode. Then all of a sudden, like my nephew talks about Santa and I'm like, oh, bless you, sweet child. Like,
this is what the season's about.
I swear having nephews has like revived my love of the holidays to see it through their eyes. It's the best.
Being able to have that childlike spirit. It's beautiful.
And I genuinely think that is what has like saved my mental health in the last few years. Because if not, I think I would have just been like overwhelmed with grief. Yeah. But now like I get to create magic for now 2 little ones in my life. And it's so fun because I'm the aunt. So I get to go all out and then I go home and I get to have a full night's sleep. It's great.
Or the Fant and the Funkle.
Oh, I know.
You just get to be the funness. No, that's beautiful. But like with that, like you mentioned, there are very different feelings, right? Like there's the grief, there's fatigue, there's burnout, there's this expectation and just, it almost feels like an emotional regression because it's like, okay, well, we were in this time where I was super pumped, but then now we're feeling very down and low, and it's supposed to be the holidays and I'm supposed to feel happy and fun and all the things, which then can make us think like, okay, am I doing this wrong?
Right. Well, like then add in the element of family, whether it's with like our own born-in family or chosen family or in-laws. I don't know about you, but there have been a few times as an adult where I've been around like my parents in a holiday setting and all of a sudden I feel like I'm 12 and I react to something in a way that's not typical as adult me, but it is as like 12-year-old me. And I have to check myself and be like, where did that come from? But again, it's just that inner child being like, I am getting frustrated with my mom. I'm getting frustrated with my parents. I'm not actually frustrated. It's almost just like that imprint is on us. And it's kind of funny. And I like try to find levity in it now. But when the first few times that happened, I was like, what is happening? And where did the time machine come from?
Yeah. I'm going to stomp off to my room and slam the door.
Sometimes I wish I could.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so nice. A good like little door slam just to be teenage angst.
I actually took a good coping skill from you socially of like using the restroom as a grounding tool. Because for me, like I always avoid like finding a restroom or going to the restroom in a group of people because I feel like I'm being inconvenient to others.
Heaven forbid you have to use the bathroom.
I know, heaven forbid I have
wild.
a biological function.
Right.
But I actually started doing that in the last few months. It's great. Thank you for that. And so like even when I don't have to go, I will literally just go in the bathroom and just kind of like sit for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Wash my hands in cold water. Like I've done some squats to do some like progressive muscle relaxation.
Yeah.
It's great. I think it's my adult version of stomping my feet and going to my room.
I'm just going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Just going to go to the bathroom. Well, it's good because I feel like, especially being a girly,
yeah,
whatever happens in the bathroom stays in the bathroom.
No one cares.
Like it's just the space for us. We're going to have deep, intentional conversations, or you're going to help me sew up my dress because it ripped, and no one has to know.
Like the first thing that comes to mind, if like we were at a family function and my sister-in-law, Adrienne, and I were in the bathroom together and I was like repping out a few squats.
Yep.
She wouldn't think anything of it. First of all, she'd probably
sick.
be like, Sarah, you got to stop working out so much. But then she'd be like, you good?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right.
Thank goodness.
So when it comes to like our clients, what does this look like?
I think it's just like overall feeling like you're over capacity and just not enough.
Yeah.
And it's just this feeling of being so spread thin all the time and the expectations, and it's almost like more people are paying rent in your head than you want to and than you expected. And it's almost like, I know for a lot of my clients who I've seen for a long time, they usually feel like they're going backwards in their progress in therapy.
Yeah.
And they always say like, am I not improving, or what's going on? And I thought I was doing so much better. And I have to remind them that if you are feeling this emotional regression in the holiday season, that does not mean that you've regressed in your progress in therapy. Doesn't mean you failed at all. It means that you're feeling activated and there's an imprint of something that's happened before, just coming back up to the surface a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you notice?
A lot of that, of like the emotional, almost like dissociation of everything's feeling very different. So I'm just kind of going to pull away from it. And then I'm going to essentially fake emotions for the day. Yeah. And then feeling the judgment and the shame behind that. And then, a lot of shame work. And then the perfectionism starting to come up, which, all my faves. But just seeing a lot of that, like rearing its head and popping up more strongly. And then the thoughts of like, well, I don't know, is therapy working? Is this, I'm feeling quote unquote worse. And it's like, no. We're good. Let's take a moment. Let's process through all of that. Because like it feels like it's supposed to be such a joyous time and all these things and positive, like even commercials, like the amount of K commercials, especially for my timeline people up here of like engagements. And that's when, we start doing like babies saying like, we're pregnant, all these things. And that can bring on these feelings of I'm behind, I'm this, I'm that. And recognizing also that the holiday season is not supposed to be about, but we think that it's supposed to be about family, connecting, all the things. And 80% of us are lonely in the holidays.
Which I can see it. Absolutely. I will say Kelsey Ballerini just came out with a new song that's called I Sit in Parks. And it's a beautiful song. And I actually don't get emotional with music and stuff like that often. I think I just kind of passively listen to things, but her new song is a really wonderful tribute to timelines, and that's how I interpret it, at least, because she's talking about how she's sitting in a park and all of a sudden she sees a family come in and like there's two parents, they have a picnic basket and a really cute kid, and she's saying they're my age. And she's talking about like, did I waste this? Did I miss an opportunity? Did this pass by me? And I listened to it like 3 times in a row just because I was like, am I really hearing what I'm hearing? And it hit for sure. But I think it just brings up like that pressure of this is what we should be doing. And like you said, like people announce a lot of things around this time of year. They announce we're getting a new job, we're buying a home, we're getting married, we're having a baby, we're whatever. And that just adds on the pressure. And then also makes you feel like you're behind or you failed. Yeah. Not to mention the other pressure, like finances, like logistics. And we're obviously this year's a little bit different. The government's still shut down at the time of recording this episode. And I know I can't confirm or deny that a lot of my clients are impacted by it. But there's also millions of people that have like lost access to food and like SNAP benefits and things like that. So that's just adding another layer. And again, we're in a world where it's hard to get our basic needs met right now. And then we're adding on the layers of expectation. Like, hello, Maslow's hierarchy. If our basic needs aren't met, we can't expect all of the joy and the magic and
self-actualizing.
Right.
All
that would
the
be
things.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was beautifully said.
Oh,
also,
you.
Kelsey Ballerini is phenomenal.
Oh.
I think I was going through a very tumultuous breakup situation, and Sarah sent me a song. I can't even remember what it's called right now, but it was Kelsey.
How do I do this?
That's what it is. How do I do this? And she sent me that song. I genuinely sat in my car and I cried about. I still cry about that song.
It's a good one.
It's stored in my body.
Don't do pigeon pose.
Yeah, I know. Go to the pigeon. But yeah, of checking in with ourselves and recognizing the shoulds.
Yeah,
because they are very rampant during this time.
That it is. Okay. For you, like, how do you like to keep magic? Or, like, what does magic even look like as an adult? Because we know what it looks like as a kid.
Right.
What's it look like as an adult?
Honestly, seeing it through I always go to Disney because I love Disney. And I genuinely cannot wait to have a child in my family, which thankfully now I do. Yay. But to be able to take them to Disney and just see their joy.
The light up in the eyes.
Yes, like that truly brings me as an adult joy when I get to see a kid experience something for the first time or truly believe that it's real. Like those little fairy, tooth fairy doors that they now sell.
Yeah.
Already in my box for people. But just being able to see it through the lens of someone who's experiencing something for the first time. And that could even be inviting someone, to a space that they've never been to, of even if it's an adult friend, being like, hey, I'd love for you to join me with this. I know last year for Christmas, I was invited to, we'd never done a Christmas going to the church and like singing hymnals and all of those things, and I've never done that before, just because, well, non-denominational, we got the band and all that stuff, so it's not that traditional. And so I got to do that, and that was something that brought me joy, was being able to engage in something with that family. They've always been doing a new tradition, and I got to experience that.
I love that.
So that's kind of either doing new things or inviting someone to do a new thing, just so that we can liven it up of like, okay, wow, there really is magic in this season. What about you?
Mine's usually through service. I usually try to give back in some kind of way. Like, I know for the month of November, I've been allotting like part of our grocery budget for like food bank supplies, and I've been doing that every week so far. And I did it like come the end of October, and then I did it this week as well. And it's not really like a pat on the back kind of thing, but it's also one of those where it's like, hey, like if I'm able to do all these things, like I should be able to give to others. And that does help a lot. But also, like you said, experiencing things through the eyes of my nephews. I really, like, if this is how I feel about my brother's children, I can't imagine if I'm able to have children of my own one day, what it'll be like. But it really is healing for my own inner child to see them get excited. And like, one of my nephews is so young, he won't really understand this year, but he will get to be excited by the lights and the sounds, and he'll get excited by the toys and things like that. My other nephew is definitely old enough to get super excited,
and I'm sure will.
Right. And like little things, like he actually asked to bake a pie with me this year, which like really cut to my core, because for me, I carry a tradition that my grandmother taught me how to bake her like family recipe pies. I'm the only one who knows how to do it, and I typically bake them alone every year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I joke with my parents that there's tears in the pies every year, and that's what the special ingredient is. Right. But like, randomly, I think they were talking about pie in school, because they had like an apple unit, whatever. But my brother was like, hey, like Booger, I'm not gonna say his name, Booger asked if you could make some pies with him and show him how to bake it. And the thought of being able to have that tradition, because I spent years baking pies with my grandmother, with him, I'm a puddle every time. It's just, that's magic for me.
That is, yeah.
I just love it. Stay tuned if that happens. He probably forgot by now, but that's okay.
No, he could never. He would always want to be with his his font.
Just the ask is more than enough for me.
Yeah, for sure. So when we're thinking about all of this, there's some great tools that we can implement, and I'm going to let you explain this first one, because you did an amazing. It's on Is it on Etsy or is it on our website right now?
It's on Etsy.
Okay, so
I'll re-upload it to our website though.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I'm gonna re-upload a link to the Etsy listing.
Yes, there it is. There's this holiday guide that Sarah did, and it's beautifully detailed, amazing. The aesthetic's great too. It's great to look at. But it is on our Etsy, so we're gonna look about putting that on the website for you guys.
Yeah, so it's called like domain tracking and like an emotional inventory tracker. And I broke it up into, I think it's like 8 different domains of like mental, emotional, spiritual, financial. It's pretty much all of the major categories of tabs we have open in our head. And it's allowing you the space to recalibrate what that looks like, because we have our January to August version of keeping our life in balance and in check. And then we have the rest of the year. And it's a really helpful tool to allow you permission to change your mind and to make changes or modifications or compromise, so that you can go into the holidays having just better expectations for yourself. Because I feel like if I were to use the same expectations I have for myself in like February, in November, I would come up way short, because there's just not enough time or energy or daylight.
Yeah. Okay, so we have that. And then, of course, taking it from Brene Brown. Love her. Which apparently she did a podcast, which she went on someone else's podcast. I'll have to look that up. Maybe I can find that. But I saw it on her Instagram, which, if you're listening, Brene Brown, I wish you'd post a little bit more on Instagram so I could get more of that knowledge. But I statements or permission statements of, like, if we're feeling down about the holidays and we're about to go to a party, of saying like, okay, you know what? I have permission. I give myself permission to feel sad while also being in the moment. Or, you know, it's okay for me to be having this feeling. Or I give myself permission to take a break or set a boundary, which also peep our boundary episode.
From last year.
From last year. We love that
Holiday
one. I think we were unhinged on that one as well.
But we had great responses from that. And people saying like, this helped me set boundaries with my toxic family members. Thank you so much.
So go check that one out as the season's coming up. So there's that, and then also regulating before we relate. And so what that means is, you know, a lot of times we use this a lot with children, of when children are dysregulated, we're like, no, it's okay, here's why we gotta, you know, doing all of these things.
We're in the red zone.
Yes, we're in the let's calm down, let's do these things. But in reality, like we've talked about it before, our brain, when that happens and we are dysregulated, that rational side is completely offline. We're operating all off of emotion.
She's out.
And that happens with us adults too, especially around the holidays when we are getting ready. I know me, like, doing my hair, putting my makeup on, that's a lot of idle time to be in my thoughts and my feels, of recognizing that you too deserve to be able to be proactively regulating.
Do you?
Before we're going into experiences where we are relating with others, which can be very draining.
It is.
I know I hold a lot of shame myself of that the holiday seasons are very draining, because talking to people is very draining. I am definitely an introvert. I say, as we are on a podcast and we've been talking for 42 minutes straight, but like it takes a lot out of me, and that feels shameful to me, because I'm like, I should feel energized and excited, where like I leave and I'm like, oh, that was a lot, now I gotta go sit in silence. But in recognizing that's okay, like there's nothing wrong with that. And so I know that for me, I have to kind of do a little extra on the front end to fill up my cup for those moments. So remembering to regulate before you relate.
So we really can't talk about like relating to other people without giving just kind of a refresher on our episode from last year. So our episode from last year was really about like setting boundaries and how to do that both within yourself and with other people. But in this context, we're really going to think about it with other people. And so when we're thinking about boundaries, what's one boundary about the holidays that you had to learn the hard way?
So it was last year, and my soon-to-be husband, I've started saying that instead of fiance. I feel like fiance is like a little, my fiance. Now I just say my soon-to-be husband. Kyle and I were, for the first time, navigating trying to do both families for the holidays, because when we first started dating, we just weren't there yet. And so we kind of did our separate things. We're like, no, let's do it together. And we thought, oh, what a great idea to try and do both families on the same day. And my family lives in Rome. His is up here, near the Sandy Springs area. And so that's a 2.5 hour drive. With traffic and all the things. And so we would start in the morning and go to one family, and then we would drive back up and then spend essentially the rest of the night and evening with, you know, the other family. And that was a lot.
Yeah.
And we left and we're like, wow, okay, so that's not it. So we had to be definitely more intentional with our time and with planning our time of saying, okay, we want to be invested when we show up in these spaces. And so in order to do that, we need to split. And actually the families were like, totally, because it seemed like a lot, and, you know, planning just got all kerfunkled. So that's a boundary we had to set. It's like, okay, you know, managing our time a little bit better. And that was really an us boundary for us. Of like, okay, we cannot do this. This does not work for us. If it works for other people, amazing. I'd love to hear tips. But for us, it did not. So that was a boundary we're setting this year and recognizing like how to do that. What about you?
Mine was just like, you can't please everybody. And I think I felt that professionally and personally, because I know in previous years professionally I would almost open up more availability for clients, because obviously like I would be stepping away for a few days to observe different holidays. And so I remember like in previous years I would be working later nights, I'd be working earlier mornings. Once in a while I would open up a weekend day. That's not okay. Like for me, absolutely not. I'm already like at capacity this time of year. I also tend to get sick at this time of year. That's just how my body tends to go. So for me, it's like I had to learn I cannot please everybody, and sometimes that does include my clients, where I will be as available as I can. Maybe I'll add an extra slot here or there, but like that's not fair to me, and I also won't be as good of a therapist to them, and they don't deserve that either. Personally, very similar. Like I can't please everybody. I'm only one person, and my spouse and I are only two people in one family unit. I actually was just talking to my mom about this recently, and I'm really grateful I have the relationship with her that I do have to have this conversation. But I looked at her very blatantly and I just said, I understand no one will be happy because we cannot spend all of our time with one group of people. No one is going to be happy. But I looked at her and I said, Mom, I love you. I understand no one's happy. That does include me. We have to do what we can. And I said, I cannot please everybody. And I said, if I get pneumonia again, because obviously, I mean, last year, my episode, it was awful. I said, that's not okay. I was in urgent care, like on New Year's, essentially. So it's one of those where like, I can't please everybody and I'm just not going to try anymore. That doesn't help anything. So learning to be one person. And remembering that like boundaries are not a bad thing. It's not saying I don't love you, I don't care about you. And we talk about this, you know, on that episode, but instead it's protecting you, and it's also protecting them hey, we're setting these expectations, because if we break down those boundaries and are constantly like collapsing those, not following through with those, we start to feel that guilt, that resentment, fear, and like nervous system dysregulation, which can look like getting sick or just having those moments where we want to stomp off and scream, which, you know, totally fine if we're not hurting anyone, but of like recognizing that boundaries are not a bad thing, and it does not mean I don't like you, but instead it means no, I care for you, but I also care for me. And so when it comes to setting boundaries, being honest, being direct, like I was with my mom, and I was like, I love you, we're not going to be happy with everything, okay. And of course, you know, when we think about this, tone makes a huge difference. Sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. Always. I've heard that from my dad for a long time, of like, you can be direct without it being hurtful or hateful. That's honestly, I think that's the key with setting any boundary, is like your tone and your body language, because it turns you from a bully to a conversation. Exactly. And then also buddy system of like having an accountability partner, whether that's your partner, your spouse, a friend, even maybe a parent, but just having someone to be with you in those times. I had a really unhinged metaphor about boundaries recently with a client. First of all, I have no idea why I related boundary setting to cows. Also, just like me as me as a person, I would think you would do that. Being from Rome and all. Well, I'm thinking of your little flash drive too. Totally joking. It's so cute, but also like. But yes. I was talking about how, like you said, setting a boundary is protecting a relationship, and collapsing a boundary isn't all that you think it is, because a lot of my people pleasers will collapse their boundaries. I was like, okay, imagine you have a giant pasture of cows. And all of the cows are in their enclosure. They're used to it. They know the land. They're comfortable. They're happy. Said your boundaries are that enclosure. And I said, imagine one day it goes away. and they can just roam free.
Revolt.
I think of like the animated clay cows.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what that movie is, that's in my mind right now.
Me too. But like, imagine all of a sudden, like the fence in the enclosure goes away, and all of a sudden you have this gaggle of cows, or sorry, it's a herd. It's not a gaggle. I just think of it.
I love that.
You have a herd of cows roaming free.
Yeah.
They're going to be dysregulated. They might even be in harm's way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Could be a road there.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
I just had a terrible joke. Ground beef.
I was thinking about hamburgers. Oh, that's so bad. What a great episode.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, sometimes, a cow could wander into the best life ever. Absolutely. But it is dysregulating. So I always talk about like your boundaries, maintaining them is that little enclosure, and collapsing them are the cows potentially going into the road and just feeling very dysregulated.
Yes. Keep your cows safe, people. Just maintain your cow pasture.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. I love my clients. Sometimes I say these things out loud and I'm like, that really landed in session and it was a really great tool. And my client was like, that makes so much sense. Thank you for the visual.
Yeah. And then you think back on it and you're like, wow, I really used cows, but it worked.
Like tens of thousands of student debt. Cows.
For that metaphor.
Love that.
Which is beautiful. I love it, the creativity. So going into holiday archetypes.
Yes.
We love these little labels. We love these little categories. So there's a couple for like the holidays.
Yeah.
The first one, which I'm so glad I get to explain this one, is the overfunctioner.
Oh.
I love her. She is my best friend. So that's essentially trying to do it all. Yeah. Trying to be it all. Of we're going to plan out this perfectly so that we can get to this party and then get to this party and I can make this person happy and do this and this and this and this. So we are constantly there. Yep. We're constantly trying to be present. We are overfunctioning.
And then you also have the avoider. I also really love her. It's when stress hits, your emotions, they leave the chat. Yeah. So we just kind of disappear emotionally when stress runs high.
Yeah. Okay. So the fixer, that's trying to solve all the problems, whether they're our things that are going on or others, of stepping in of like, I am going to manage the conflict in my family.
Could be the mediator.
Always.
I've got it. Yes. That's usually when you'll see like, well, I'm the therapist child of my family. Like, like, please stop, or charge them.
Yeah, right. We'll take a break for the holidays then.
Well, then like you have the fawner, who I always just want to wrap up and give them a hug. Yeah. Because it's just like keeping the peace at all costs, and you're pretty much like falling on the sword to keep the peace. And that's usually when a lot of like numbness and dissociation happens too.
Yeah. And then the last one is the analyzer.
It's my husband.
So I think there's two to that one. There's like the very realistic side of like, I want to understand this rationally, all the things. But then I also consider the analyzer to be the attuner, like the super attuning. We're constantly checking in with people, not really saying much, but just like looking at like, okay, are they okay? Are they, are they chill? Like,
it's almost like a threat management. It's like you're in like crisis zone all the time and you're just like scanning the room for threats.
Makes sense for your husband.
Yeah. So, okay, obviously I have an idea of the answer, but what label is yours?
Oh, I'd love to hear your idea.
You're definitely the overfunctioner.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm 100% the overfunctioner.
I think we have the same ones. Yeah. It's the overfunctioner with a healthy heaping of avoider.
Right. For sure. For sure. Sometimes I go a little bit of the fawner too. I'm a big fawner as well.
I'm an overfunction and avoid kind of
gal. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
It happens. But again, like it's all the same fear. Like no matter what like archetype we could kind of fall into, it's the same fear of like, I won't be safe if I can't manage this. Right. And I do think that's a lot of, again, the holidays are overstimulating. Yeah. We want to manage it however we can. Sometimes our brain takes over if we are stressed into like a hypervigilant state. Right. And then we kind of act out of that lizard brain. Or we just act however we feel is right or causes less harm.
And so like a challenge for all of our listeners is when we start to feel ourselves going into that movement or that lack of movement of like pausing for a second, noticing what we're reaching for, like what are we going into, and kind of understanding that, processing that of, is this truly for me? Or is this potentially for someone else? Am I trying to fix something? Am I trying to make everyone happy? Am I avoiding something that potentially is there? Do I need to sit with that? Jumping to conclusions, but just like simply like observing it, seeing and noticing those changes without judgment, and just recognizing, okay, I understand this now. We see it. Do I want to move forward with this because I feel like it's authentic to me? Or is this something that maybe I want to make a different choice on?
Absolutely. And so obviously, as we kind of wrap things up, we want to just redefine joy and rest in the holiday season. Because obviously I would hope the people that are listening are adults. If you're a kiddo, like maybe not.
Maybe this isn't the episode for you.
Or the podcast.
Yeah.
Teenagers, cool. Hang out with us. Keep us hip.
Yeah.
I probably can't even say hip. My goodness. But
keep us rad.
As an adult, I do think that we do have to redefine joy in the holidays, just to kind of keep ourselves more sane and stable. Because if we expected ourselves to have joy like a child, I feel like the only way to do that would have like a hyperglycemic induction of just a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something else.
Yes. Correct. We're going to keep our rating the way it is, so read between the lines.
Yeah.
So for you, what does joy look like in this year, at least? Saying as an adult is really generic, but like just this year.
But this year, I think it'd be just being able to show up intentionally and fully. Of like being able to be in my space with my people and just enjoy them for that moment. Yeah. Of like not worrying, okay, well, we got to leave at this time so we can get here and do all these things. But instead just being like, no, we're here. If we want to take a nap, cool. We're going to take a nap after our little turkey. We usually do like a brunch, lunch kind of situation. And then put like a game on and like watching the parade, but just like slowing down and actually being in the moment. That's what I think joy is going to hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to try and really make that happen. Look for me this season. What about you?
I think of slowing down and being still, and also like reminding myself, do less. Yeah. Like do less. Yeah. It's fine. Like it is fine. Whenever I have that pressure to be like, I'm just going to see one more person, or I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add one more cookie to my cookie playlist this year. No, ma'am. Do less. Because again, like if we're thinking about like the energy reserve exercise that we mentioned, I'm just depleting my own energy at that point. And that's not fair. Yeah. And then I just self-sabotage.
Do less so you can be there more.
Well, also so that I can have flexibility to do whatever I want. Like maybe I want to go drive around and look at lights instead of baking at 9:30 at night. Which, happens a lot for me.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So slowing down. And then like those micro moments. I think both of us are kind of tuning into that of like, even if it sounds like the smallest thing to be able to sit and watch the parade for like a couple of minutes or watch the full thing. What's the full thing like? Hours?
A few hours, I think.
A couple hours, yeah. But even just being able to see that one flow of like that can bring joy. It does not have to be the entire time, but instead like focusing in on a couple small moments of being just really truly present and mindful.
Yes. And even reminding yourself that like those micro moments of joy can really be sensory related too. Like I know for me, one of my favorite things to do to slow down is to sit in front of a Christmas tree. Because I mean, I just stare at it.
It's like a fire.
It really is. Yeah. So obviously, Christmas tree, a fire, having those like micro moments of joy and stillness, it's more than enough. And it's amazing that we set aside time for that, even if it's 30 seconds.
Yeah. And so when we see this across the age ranges with the clients, what is this like? What could this look like as a kid versus like an adult?
Yeah. So I think for kids, it's usually connecting and being kind to other people, because I feel like there's so much consumerism and like I need more. And I think for a lot of kids, I find a lot of that joy in like gratitude exercises with them, and like kindness and giving back if they're able to. And that could literally be, hey, let's write a card for our parent who we know is working hard this year, or like, hey, like let's talk about what we're thankful for and what we're grateful for this year. And with adults, I do think the joy is very much like a slowness and stillness and sometimes a sensory exercise. So what do you see with your folks?
For sure. I'd say with kids, it's being with the parent and like doing the cards or making an ornament or just creating like those traditions. But that's kind of like a kid and a parent thing. We are co-joying of creating those mini traditions, but in truly being able to be in that moment.
Yes.
And a lot of times we've talked about a body scan, and we talked about tuning into the things that maybe don't feel great.
Yeah.
But when it comes to joy, being able to tune into the things that do feel great too. So like body scanning with the intent of like, what feels great right now? Maybe it's, oh, I just had a nice little slice of pie and my belly's feeling nice and full and satisfied. And so we're just going to sit with that feeling. Or, you know, like, oh, wow, I just put on my snuggly PJs that we're all matching in. And, you know, my body feels like comfortable. It's a great temperature for me, of checking in with those things that are feeling good in our body.
I think the sensory experience of joy is one of the first things that goes in terms of the magic from childhood to adulthood. And I love the idea of applying that same logic to joy and things like even like sitting around the lights, like even like asking yourself, like, what is my body feeling like? And it's like, no, I don't feel heavy. My muscles feel relaxed, and enjoying that your muscles feel relaxed for those moments. Or if you have that like fizziness feeling and it's not anxiety, my goodness, celebrate that. Like, I love that. And you're like allowing yourself to like have that feeling like fill you up too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So with the holiday season, what are you leaving? And then what are you hoping to make space for?
I'm doing my best to leave perfection because it just doesn't exist. And I'm trying to just slow down, honestly, just slow down and embrace whatever's coming. And again, just trying to stay healthy. And I know I keep saying that. I would really enjoy staying healthy, which would really, obviously there's more than this that's kind of in that equation, but I do think a lot of that comes from slowing down and having limits.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, same thing. Of like not trying to do everything, be everything, do it all, be the over functioner.
Exactly.
But instead like actually resting and actually slowing down, being in the moment. I've even took off a couple extra days.
I love that.
So that's nice. So it's like, you know what? No, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And we're just going to make it happen just so that we can just rest the brains and the bodies. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, if you've gotten this far, thank you for joining us. As always, Couch Combos is not a substitute for therapy. And if you are in immediate danger or crisis, please go to your local emergency room, call 911, dial or text 988 for your local crisis resources.
Yeah. And per usual, like, subscribe, check us out on all the platforms, all the things at Soul Haven Counseling, and then also www.soulhavengeorgia.com if you want to work with us, all the stuff. But other than that, we'll see y'all next time. Who knows? Maybe after the holidays.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. Toodles.